I quit my job as a nurse, which I once thought was my calling, to become a full-time housewife after marrying into a prestigious family of entertainers. One day, my in-laws suddenly appeared at a wedding party they weren't invited to and caused trouble. My husband and I, trembling with anger, executed a long-planned action after the party. When my overbearing mother-in-law, who always looked down on me, told me to be grateful for marrying into such a distinguished family, I responded with sarcasm. As soon as my hidden identity was revealed, a tragedy that shocked everyone unfolded. My name is Mary Miller, originally Mary Johns, a 29-year-old housewife. After graduating from nursing school and obtaining my license, I worked hard, feeling that nursing was my true calling. However, I quit nursing to focus on supporting my husband after marrying into a prestigious entertainment family. I met my husband, Ethan Miller, when I was working at the hospital where he was admitted after an injury on stage. Ethan, an actor, was brought to our hospital, a famous private university hospital known for its VIP ward, which catered to celebrities and politicians. Although I wasn't confident in my appearance, I took pride in my work as a healthcare professional and treated VIP patients with the same sincerity as general patients.
Mary, you don't seem interested in celebrities. You're quite indifferent to me.
In the hospital, we treat celebrities just like any other patient. Ethan, intrigued by my lack of special treatment, began to show interest in me. Since he was hospitalized for an injury and not an illness, there were no dietary restrictions, but he often left his meals uneaten, possibly because his taste had become refined due to his prestigious background.
I'd love to try your cooking, Mary. Could you bring me something homemade?
Homemade food could lead to food poisoning, and personalized meals are not allowed. You could request takeout from a favorite restaurant instead. Ethan, despite being 8 years older, looked up at me with pleading eyes like a young boy, but I firmly refused. Though Ethan's manager visited daily, his family never appeared. Even I, who was not familiar with the entertainment world, knew that Ethan was the eldest son of a famous showbiz family. Ethan's father, Jack Miller, is a veteran actor with a distinguished career, and his mother, Emma Miller, a former model, is still active as a TV personality. Ethan's sister, Sherry, initially debuted as an actress, but is now known more for sharing family anecdotes on variety shows. Despite his family's fame, Ethan himself is known as a popular actor in the handsome guy category, though he has transitioned to playing teacher roles in recent years. Unlike my colleagues who became fans of Ethan from his younger roles, I had no prior interest in such entertainment and only learned about him after his hospitalization. Despite understanding the busy lives of celebrities, I couldn't comprehend how they could neglect a family member in need. One day, Ethan surprisingly opened up about his personal life.
My mother, as you know, is not involved in any household chores and dislikes having outsiders in the house, so my sister and I were mostly raised by our grandmother.
While measuring his blood pressure, I listened to Ethan's story, nodding along.
Since I was a child, I had no choice but to appear on TV and act. But at least, when I returned home, I could relax with my grandmother's cooking.
It seemed that Ethan's grandmother had passed away, and his request for homemade food wasn't out of any ulterior motive, but a genuine longing for home-cooked meals. The next day, with permission from Ethan's doctor, I brought him a homemade lunch, which he devoured with surprising enthusiasm.
This is amazing. It's so delicious. I could eat your cooking every day, Mary.
Despite it being a simple home-cooked meal, Ethan praised it lavishly, making me feel both happy and a bit charmed by his sincerity. Over time, my guard lowered and we grew closer, discovering that Ethan was the complete opposite of the image I had of celebrities. As I got to know Ethan better, I became curious about his family, starting to gather information about them from TV and social media. His parents exuded the aura of true celebrities, often seen in high-end fashion even in their private lives, while his sister seemed to fully enjoy her life in the spotlight. When Ethan was discharged, he secretly gave me his contact information, and we began to communicate regularly, eventually starting a serious relationship. Our relationship remained a secret, supported by his manager, with all our dates confined to his home. 2 years later, when I was 29, Ethan proposed to me. At that time, Ethan, who was 37, had won a prestigious award for Best Supporting Actor after recovering from his injury, solidifying his reputation as a serious actor. Considering the potential impact on his career, his agency finally approved our marriage. Ethan, despite being born into a prestigious entertainment family, chose to work for a major agency rather than his parents' private agency, where his father, mother, and sister were all involved. I deeply love Ethan, who, despite his celebrity background, remains unspoiled. However, marrying into a family of entertainers meant I had to prepare myself for a life under constant scrutiny. Although we asked the media to respect our privacy, there was no guarantee our private lives would remain undisturbed, especially in today's world of social media. Nevertheless, I decided to quit the job I loved and live my life with Ethan. My parents were my main concern, fearing they would be affected, but they supported my decision wholeheartedly, even if it meant their peaceful lives might be disrupted. Both the agency and my parents supported us, for which I was grateful. However, there was one obstacle in our marriage: Ethan's family. During our relationship, I met Ethan's father, Jack, several times. I even cared for him during a brief hospitalization at my hospital, so when we informed him of our engagement, he gave his approval without hesitation. However, I never once met Ethan's mother, Emma, or his sister, Sherry, in those 2 years. Although Ethan had tried several times to arrange a meeting, they always declined. Ethan's parents are a so-called masked couple, living separately for years, with their relationship reduced to a business partnership. Ethan and Sherry were raised mostly by their grandmother, living together until they became adults. Though Sherry often shares stories of a happy family life on TV, Ethan revealed that most of these stories were fabricated. Still, it was unthinkable not to meet my future in-laws before submitting the marriage registration, so we managed to arrange a family dinner. It had been years since Ethan's parents met privately, outside of work. After the introductions, Ethan's father was in a good mood, but his mother and sister remained distant, barely participating in the conversation.
What's with Emma and Sherry's attitude? This is supposed to be a family celebration.
Do we even qualify as a family? I don't intend to accept this woman as part of our family. She's just a lowly nurse, completely out of her league. Emma glared at me with a spiteful expression while Sherry laughed mockingly. Nurses are only good at taking care of people, but it's the doctors who actually save lives.
Mother, Sherry, that's enough. That's incredibly rude.
Don't talk to me like that. I don't like that term. It sounds too grand for what it is. Ethan, who was usually calm, raised his voice in anger for the first time. It was clear that his mother's pride in being part of a prestigious family ran deep, likely because her father had been a practitioner of traditional performing arts and had passed away young, leaving no male heir. Unable to carry on the family name, Emma had a strong sense of pride and even attempted to push Ethan into traditional performing arts. However, Ethan had no connection to his grandfather, who passed away before he was born, and found traditional performing arts incompatible with his personality. He reluctantly continued acting as a child, but eventually grew to resent it. Knowing this, I felt a deep compassion for Ethan, especially when facing his overbearing mother.
Emma, I understand how you feel, but Mary is a wonderful woman. Ethan has chosen her, so let's support them.
Although Ethan's father tried to mediate, Emma's expression only grew more severe, and the tense atmosphere remained. After the main course, Emma still showed no sign of remorse for her rude remarks. Ethan, you always fall for these innocent-looking women. If only you had entered that world as a child, you could have taught yourself how to handle women. Emma's words struck a nerve, especially since traditional performing arts were a sore spot for Ethan. The string that held his composure finally snapped, and he stood up, glaring at his mother.
Enough. We're both adults now, and I don't need your approval to marry. We'll get married on our own.
Ethan declared in front of his family, pulling me out of the restaurant. Are you sure about this? I'm glad you stood up for me, but...
Mary, I'm sorry they said such awful things to you. But don't worry, you're the only family I need.
As we got into the car, I noticed that Ethan was crying, his face filled with sadness. It's not about what they said to me. It's just that all the love and kindness you've shown your family throughout your life seem to be completely ignored. We cried together, forgetting that Ethan's manager was listening. Although Ethan said he didn't care about the insults directed at him, I knew that the disdain for my profession as a nurse was one of the reasons for my tears. I had worked as a nurse, not only taking responsibility for people's lives, but also caring for their hearts. To have my dream of helping people as a nurse dismissed so easily was heartbreaking.
My grandmother always said that being unable to bear a son was why she was treated so poorly by her in-laws. That's why she became so kind and gentle towards others. She understood that pain.
I understood exactly what Ethan meant and nodded quietly. I want to be kind like his grandmother, but I also know that being kind alone won't be enough to protect Ethan. I need to be strong too. Determined to protect Ethan, I made a phone call while he was in the bath, planning the next steps of our plan. However, our plan was executed at an unexpected and worst possible timing 3 months later. We had decided not to invite Ethan's family to our wedding and planned a small reception with only my family and close friends. But on the day of the wedding, uninvited, Ethan's parents and sister crashed the party with a photographer and several journalists in tow. Although we intended to keep our wedding private, they leaked it to the press, inviting several entertainment reporters to the event. A wedding planner rushed to our table, whispering in our ears, asking if we wanted to let them in or turn them away. We decided that turning them away would only cause more trouble, so we reluctantly allowed them to stay. The staff, though panicked, swiftly prepared a temporary table for our unwelcome guests. Despite being a popular actor, Ethan had only disclosed the fact of our marriage without any details or photos, out of consideration for fans who might not want to know more. But Emma, ignoring our wishes, instructed the photographer to take pictures, which would later be published with my face blurred out.
This is unacceptable. We didn't want any photos of our wedding to be public.
Ethan was trembling with anger, whispering fiercely to me. But as an actor, he couldn't show his frustration in front of the guests, so we both maintained our composure until the party ended. After seeing off the guests, we gathered in the family room with my parents and Ethan's family. Jack, Emma, Sherry, we didn't invite you. What are you thinking coming here uninvited?
It's a surprise. Congratulations on your marriage.
It's incredibly rude and not to invite family to a wedding, so we came anyway. You should be grateful. Now, you'll have some beautiful photos taken by a professional photographer.
Listening to their ridiculous reasoning, I felt my anger rising. We didn't plan to announce our wedding or share our photos publicly.
What a waste. This is your chance to make some money. Why don't you want to sell your private life like the rest of us? This is why I didn't want Ethan to marry a nurse. I wanted him to marry a doctor or someone more prestigious.
Rather than being shocked, I felt a mix of pity and disbelief at Emma's attitude. Be grateful for marrying into a prestigious family? Your reputation is amazing, isn't it? My sarcastic comment was the signal for our counterattack. At that moment, my childhood friend Lisa entered the room.
It's well known that if you mention Jack Miller's name in certain places, many women will claim to be his mistress. And they're not shy about it either.
Who are you?
Lisa handed her business card to Emma, Jack, and Sherry. My parents, who knew Lisa well, stood silently watching. I could see the shock on their faces as they read her card, realizing she was a journalist.
I've gathered plenty of evidence over the past 3 months. I have photos that could make quite a scandal.
So what? This kind of thing is common in the entertainment industry. It's nothing new.
Emma, unperturbed, even defended her husband as expected.
I see you're unfazed. Truly impressive, but I have more than just gossip.
Lisa then showed them photos of Emma closely interacting with a married traditional performing artist who was once her father's disciple. Another photo showed them entering Emma's home together.
What is this? I'll hire a lawyer and sue you.
Knowing the ins and outs of the entertainment industry, Emma was confident she could keep this hidden, but she never imagined that I, someone outside the industry, would have such damning evidence. Jack tried to laugh it off, believing it wouldn't become public, especially since Lisa specialized in economics, not entertainment.
Dad, you're delusional. Times have changed. Scandals like this will get you blacklisted from the industry.
Ethan, who had always looked up to his father as a respected actor, was now filled with anger and disappointment.
I can't believe you stooped so low. I always respected you as an actor, but now I'm disgusted.
I could see tears in Ethan's eyes as he spoke, overwhelmed by the shame.
At least I've been faithful, unlike him. I'm in love. I just can't divorce him due to our circumstances.
Emma, shamelessly justifying her affair, was clearly more concerned about her own reputation than her husband's indiscretions. Jack, despite feeling awkward, tried to brush it off and keep control of the situation.
Let's just keep this within the family. We can deal with this ourselves. From now on, stay out of our lives. We're cutting ties with you. Don't interfere with my marriage or my career. You're no longer part of my life.
We firmly declared our decision to sever all ties with Ethan's family, a decision we had made when we chose not to invite them to the wedding.
I won't publish the scandal if you promise not to interfere with Mary and Ethan's lives anymore.
Ah, thank goodness. Jack, Sherry, apologize to them right now.
Reluctantly, Emma and Jack apologized. Sherry, thinking it was all over, looked relieved.
We're done. I'm cutting all ties with you today. From now on, I'm just Mary's husband and an actor. That's all I need to be.
Ethan once again firmly declared his intention to sever ties with his family, and I swore to protect the man I loved more than anyone in the world. As we remembered we were still in our wedding attire, we laughed at how absurd the situation was. Our laughter spread to my parents and Lisa, who had supported us quietly throughout. I expressed my gratitude with a heartfelt hug, thanking them all for standing by us.
Thank you so much for everything. I know it must be hard to accept me with parents like mine, but please, watch over us. I swear we'll be happy together.
Ethan's heartfelt declaration brought tears to everyone's eyes. At that moment, I finally felt like the happiest bride in the world, not with a forced smile, but with genuine joy. I decided to live a happy life surrounded by the people who truly loved and supported me.